What's going on, guys? My name is Aldenero, and welcome to a vlog. It's the first one I've done in a long time. I kind of just wanted to check in and say hello, because, I don't know, it's been a long time, and I'm very curious to see what my current stock is in the YouTube sphere, like to see how many people are interested in, what I have to say and stuff, because I'm thinking of doing some things, and I'm sorry I can't be any more specific. No, I'm thinking of making some videos. But I'm not quite sure exactly what kind of videos. I have like some ideas that I have to flesh out in my head. But also it's been a long time since I made a video, and I feel like a lot of people are probably very curious as to where I've been. Basically, I have committed full-time to the podcast, which is pretty good. Also, I'm in full-time employment, and with that comes, responsibilities and consumption of time on a mass scale. So I don't have a whole lot of time to be making videos all the time anymore, but also my motivation for making career mode videos pretty much plummeted with the terrible game that was whatever the one that made me abandon my channel was. Was it 16? I think it was 16. Yeah, I just didn't really enjoy the game, and I have played about 45 minutes of FIFA 17, which I own on 2 consoles, because that's just the kind of guy that I am, I guess. So anyway, this is going to be a Q&A video. If you do have any interest in, seeing me upload videos, maybe let me know what you'd like to see. If you want to see, like, top 5 tweets return every now and then, or you want to see more vlogs, or you want to see a career mode, like, let me know, because I haven't been active for a very long time, and as a result of that, your viewership plummets. And I know that for most of you, I am just the guy you're subscribed to. Only like a very small percentage of you for which I am your favorite YouTuber and stuff. And I know that you guys know what I'm doing all the time because you listen to the podcast. So this is a Q&A video, as I promised. I said I would do it. I tweeted out the need for questions just because I don't know how to make any other kind of vlog video, so I hope you'll appreciate that. The first question is from Connor, who says, how was your holiday? Would love to go to the place you were at in Singapore. It was really fucking cool, dude. I went to Singapore for, I can't even remember. I spent like a week in Singapore straight, and then went to Bali, which is in Indonesia. It's a really nice place. Like, Google it if you've no idea what it looks like. It's just really stunning, and it's a lot cheaper than Singapore. I was listening to PKA really recently, and they were talking about caning and how they still do it in Singapore, and they made lots of assumptions about Singapore, and I know that they were offhand remarks and they weren't serious cultural appropriation or any of that shit. But yes, I think a lot of people think that Singapore is like a developing country where, people just eat rice all day and stuff like that. Singapore is like the 7th most expensive country in the world. They have a wildly successful tiger economy and a really large financial sector. They're kind of a bridge between Europe and the rest of America and the rest of Southeast Asia. In terms of the financial world, and a good stopover between America and Hong Kong and stuff like that. So it's a really wealthy country. Beer is extortionately expensive over there, and yeah, so anyway, there's a lot of pictures of it on my Instagram. Even if it's my second time being there, so if you go on my Instagram and scroll like all the way down, you'll see loads of pictures of Singapore. It's a really nice place. Bali is also awesome on a wholly different level. It's like a nice mixture of like really expensive things, but also really sort of modest, things as they are, like sort of untouched by high-rise buildings and Burger Kings and stuff like that. So it's pretty good. Also, beer is pretty cheap, and that's like one of the main things that I look for in a place. So yeah, it was really awesome. Thanks for asking. Next question is from Tree Hill Raven. Man, One Tree Hill is such a bad show. And I've spoken to this guy before about that. But anyway, he says, did you think about adding Facecam to your podcast like Nep did in his episode of his podcast? I haven't, because I'm not really all that comfortable with doing it. But also, in adding Facecam to it, it would mean that my guests would have to add Facecam to it. And like, I have a hard enough time motivating other people to do the podcast anyway. So yeah, I don't think it's likely, but it is possible. Everyone knows my main fear with going on webcam, but I am actually going to the dentist really soon, so hopefully I can, sort that problem out, and we can make more Facecam videos, because with that will come the confidence. Next question is from Flather, who says, what motivates you at university doing the degree I chose to do and can barely find the motivation to attend? Any ideas? This is really tough. It's something that I struggled with too in college. You ultimately just have to consider your life now and imagine how much you dislike it, or imagine how okay you are with it, and then ask yourself, are you going to be okay like doing this exact thing in 15 years? Like, what kind of job do you want to have? You're doing the degree you chose to do, so you obviously have some semblance of interest in the thing that you've chosen. So I guess you just gotta persevere until you get through college and then see what happens. Like, when I finished third level education, I felt a little bit lost in the world, and only now am I really finding stuff that I'm good at, like a sort of a career path to go down and stuff. So it's actually quite exciting, and I'm obviously a lot older than you, so you just gotta hang in there and just keep thinking about what happens at the end of the line. I'm an impulsive person, so it's very difficult for me to visualize like far into the future, but like I say, just imagine what your life is now and imagine it being like that forever, and just, you know, focus on constantly improving it, and take small steps to do so. Next question is from Jamie Anderson, who says, do you think having 48 teams in the World Cup will make it better, or will it lead to more boring games? So this is one of those things, right? Every now and then they change the World Cup in some way. It's been happening since the dawn of the World Cup. They used to only have like 2 points for a win and stuff like that. They brought in that silver goal thing a while ago. Or was that only in the Euros? It was dreadful. It was like golden goal, which was really good. They should bring that back. But silver goal was like golden goal, except you can only score to win the game in the first half, and in the second half it's just if you score, I don't know, it was something along those lines. It was really terrible, and it made no sense, and no one could really follow it. And why would you have a silver goal when you have a golden goal? Like, you've already demeaned the new rule that you've brought in. But anyway, I'm fine with it. I'm totally fine with it. The World Cup, contrary to popular belief, is not the pinnacle of football. It's not the reason that we watch football. The World Cup is a nice break from football that we get, and it's arcadey and silly in every way. Like, it's not this super beacon that should symbolize football. Like, I know it's supposed to be that, but it isn't. The World Cup is a novelty thing, and in a novelty competition you have the luxury of being afforded the idea of doing luxury things. It's just fun novelty things, basically. So will it lead to more games? I don't know. It could lead to more exciting games, and like, what could very well happen is there'll be boring games, because there's always boring games at international level, because everyone wants to hold their pride and hold the line. No teams really go out and just go for it from the off. You get the odd time like Senegal in 2002, or even South Korea in 2002. They really went for it. And then you get it in the European competitions too. Like, I think Turkey had a really good Euro 2004, but I'm sure someone will put a screenshot of them going out in the last 16 and Petr Cech making a terrible error. I don't know what I'm talking about. Lots of countries make valiant efforts every now and then, but most of the time you just get teams that are cautious. So if it is boring, people will blame the format, and if it is exciting, people will praise the format. I think the idea of changing it up every now and then is good. I'm in favour of there being a Winter World Cup. I'm not particularly in favour with the circumstances that are leading to the Winter World Cup. Like, I don't like the idea of people dying and their deaths being covered up in order to build the stadiums that are funding the, you know, Winter World Cup. But if they want to make a World Cup in winter, fine. Like, when people are like, oh, but if you have a Winter World Cup, then the Premier League has to stop. Like, motherfucker, other leagues have to stop all the time for the World Cup. Like, let's see what happens this time, you know? It could be something really interesting. It shouldn't be bound by tradition. I'm not, like, conservative about sports, so that's just the way that I see it. I think it could be pretty good. I think we should give it a chance and stop being so fucking cynical about football all the time. It's exhausting. Next question is from Sam Collard, who says, favourite episode of the Midnight Hour? I really enjoyed all of the episodes that I did with... I feel like this question comes up every single time I do a vlog. I really enjoyed all the original episodes I did with Jack. They were really fun to do, and it sort of was my introduction to podcast, and I'll always remember it fondly. Of the recent ones, I've really enjoyed recording with Dr. John, because they are episodes that make me think a lot and they make me do a lot of homework, and I feel like I get smarter as a result of them. But I think the one I did with Matt Christensen, or Skag as some of you may know him, was probably the most enlightening one I've ever done, because he was a guy who voted for Donald Trump, and we disagreed on many things, and I didn't really know how the conversation would go, and I was excited to have him on because I respect him a lot. But I was also really intimidated because I perceive him as being like very intellectually aware of his ideology in ways that I am not. Like, in a lot of ways, I'm just someone who questions things. And he was not like that. He very much knew what he was in favor of and why, and constantly researched it and stuff. So I was afraid I was going to get like annihilated intellectually by him, but instead I had a really pleasant conversation, and I would consider him to be someone that I would be friendly with. Like, he says lots of things that I disagree with, but I don't get angry because I feel like they're coming from an honest place, and I don't think he's ever like towing the line or anything like that. So basically, I recorded an episode with somebody who I would have previously perceived as an enemy of mine, and it turned out to be anything but, and I learned that we don't need to be at war with each other all the time as a species. Next question is gonna be the last one. I actually wanted to take loads more. These always like run so long, and I don't feel like people want to stay here looking at my face for this long because it's weird. So look at this mug for the rest while I ask this question. No, just kidding. Why do you make such a point of talking about... This question is from Matt Kinross, who says, why do you make such a point of talking about pop culture, which seems to only mean superhero films and Drake and Kanye West? So I read this question on the bus on the way home, and I laughed, and he did do a follow-up thing saying like that he likes the podcast and stuff. And you're completely right, and it's a completely valid point. The reason that I do it is because I guess the thesis, the main central theme of the Midnight Hour is how society affects the tone of pop culture and the themes and the atmosphere that's visible within pop culture, and vice versa, how pop culture can affect like the society itself. So the reason I talk about it all the time is because that whole cycle and the cyclical nature of it just really, really fascinates me. So I always come back to it, and superhero movies are just immensely fascinating for someone like me who is interested in pop culture in general, because they've just come in, like, they've always been a thing going back to even when I was a kid, but Jesus, on the scale they're at now, they're like multiple Star Wars level movies coming out all the time. And that's just really fascinating to me. Like, I want to know what the end game is, but they also have their own commentary on what's happening in the world and stuff, and I'm very analytical, and analyzing that commentary is just very exciting and very rewarding. And I have a podcast, so where else am I going to talk about things that I find enjoyable? So but I do really appreciate the question, and like sometimes I hear myself saying things over and over, like the amount of fucking times I say society. That just annoys me about myself, but like, what can I do? You know, it's things that I want to talk about. I'll take one last question from Luke, who says, best Twitter account in your opinion? That is a Twitter account called Drill. There's a lot that I like. There's Jomny's Son. I really like Mara Wilson and all the stuff that she retweets, because they're always really funny jokes. But I think Drill is the absolute best account, and if you don't know what that is, you can go onto Twitter, go to my Twitter, and go to my likes, and just read them. And if you don't get it, you don't get it, and you'll never like the account. But if you laugh, then you are basically in for the best comedic experience of your entire life. So that's the end of this video. Planned on doing a 6-minute vlog. Here we are, 13 minutes later, and I am the worst. I've been El Dinero. Fuck this.